49%. That's the percentage of men between 75 and 85 who drink more than what doctors consider safe. Not in their 30s, not in a wild phase of life. In retirement, nobody warns you about this. Alcohol rarely becomes a problem overnight. It quietly becomes the answers to questions you didn't know you were asking. We talk about money, we talk about boredom. Almost no one talks about that drink that quietly becomes 2, then 3. Today I want to talk about something real retirees deal with. Nobody says it out loud. Not to scare you, because if this is creeping into your life or a spouse's or a friend's, you deserve to know what's happening. The most dangerous addictions do not begin with desperation. They begin with permission. And this is way more common than you think. This one's going to be a tough one. I'm Scott Finn, and this is Real Retirement Reality. Why this happens. Here's the first thing I want you to understand. This isn't a character flaw. It's a structural change, a change in your life that happens almost at once. For 30, 40 years, you had shape and structure to your day. Your schedule protected you way more than you realize. You wake up, go to work, come home. That structure did something that you probably never noticed. It limited when you could drink. Sometimes discipline isn't about willpower, it's about structure. Give your brain something else to do with the stress. Retirement removes both of those at the exact same time. The hours open up. The stress of what do I do with myself replaces the stress of the job. And alcohol can quietly step in and fill that gap as a way to pass the time, to numb the discomfort of an identity you're still trying to rebuild. Nature hates a vacuum, so does humans. When purpose leaves, something else will move in. Now, people don't think because retirement gave them too much time, they often drink because retirement took away the thing that gave their time meaning. Let's look at what research actually shows, because the scale of this, it absolutely stunned me. A survey found that among adults 60 to 64, roughly 20% report binge drinking. That age group doesn't typically associate with that pattern at all. Another long-running study who tracked 12,000 workers for 5 years before and after retirement found heavy drinking increased across the board after retirement. The increase was larger for women in management roles, but it touched every group. And a study in Finland following 6,000 retirees found 1 in 10 shifted to risky drinking levels right at the point of retirement, though for most, it backed off in the following years. These aren't statistics about alcohol. These are statistics about people trying to cope. That last point matters. And I really don't want to skip past it. For most people, this is a phase. Not a life sentence, but most people isn't everyone. And knowing the warning signs is what determines what group you're going to end up in. The earlier you recognize this pattern, the easier it is to change the story. Research points to a handful of situations that just raise the risk significantly. If this sounds familiar to you or someone you love, it's just worth paying attention to, not freaking out and panicking about it. Involuntary retirement, if you didn't choose your exit, a layoff, spouse's decision, the adjustment is harder, and the numbers absolutely show that. High stress jobs, if your last working years were intense, the sudden absence of that doesn't always feel like relief. It feels like a void, and it's easy to put something into that void. Look, a habit doesn't have to be good to be effective. It only has to make the pain quiet for a little while. Poor sleep. This one's underrated. Disturbed sleep in retirement is extremely common, and a drink to help you sleep is one of the most common early slides into a habit. Loneliness, loss, losing built-in social contact of the workplace, losing a spouse or a close friend in the same period of life removes exactly the kind of connection that normally will keep this in check. Look, loneliness isn't simply being alone, it's feeling like your life no longer connects with other people's. Now, none of these mean that you're doomed to a problem. They just mean you need to know where to look. Here's the part I really want to say directly, because I think it's the reason this can stay hidden for so many families. There's a specific kind of shame in this. You spend 40 years being reliable, the provider, the one who had it all together. The people everyone depends on are often the last people to admit they have a problem. Admitting that retirement of all things is what quietly becomes a problem feels like admitting weakness at the exact moment you're supposed to be enjoying what you worked for. Look, asking for help does not erase 40 years of strength. It proves you're still fighting for the life you built. Look, that shame is what keeps people from saying anything until it's way further along than it ever needs to be. And healing usually begins the moment shaming ends. If you've noticed this in yourself, doesn't mean you have failed. It means one part of you needs attention, the same way you would handle a health issue that came up. If you're noticing this in a spouse or a parent, look, research is crystal clear. Connection and having something meaningful to do are two of the strongest positive factors, often way more effective than confrontation. So what actually moves the needle based on the research and the people who study this consistently? Rebuild the structure on purpose. Retirement doesn't require a schedule, but people who navigate this well almost always build one anyway. A standing commitment, a regular group, a reason to be somewhere at a specific time. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you practice. Replace the why, not just the what. It's not really about drinking, it's about what drinking was standing in for, usually stress relief, boredom, connection. Find what replaces that function, not just some generic hobby. Look, you can't remove a habit without replacing the need it was trying to meet. Say something early. Look, if you're worried about someone, consistently, research shows connection outperforms confrontation. And that makes sense. Look, people change faster when they feel understood, way more than when they feel judged. Is this more than a little? Okay, the strongest people aren't the ones who never ask for help. They're the ones who ask before that problem will decide for them. Start with your doctor. Stopping sudden heavy alcohol use can be medically risky. This isn't a willpower step, it's a health step. And your doctor can tell you whether you need medical support to cut back safely. Your goal isn't simply to stop drinking, it's to reclaim the life drinking started to replace. Talk to one person you trust. Retirement often removes people who would have noticed this. Rebuilding visibility, even with one person, breaks that isolation and lets the habit go unchecked. Rebuild structure on purpose. The same routines used to happen around work, mornings, reasons to get up, people expecting you to be somewhere. This is often the real fix, not just cutting back drinking, but filling time back in where retirement took it away. Look, alcohol doesn't usually steal your life all at once. It steals your mornings first, then your motivation, your relationships, and eventually convinces you that this smaller life is all that you're worth. Find something worth showing up, volunteer, mentor, join a group, coach a team. The activity itself isn't the point. The point is becoming needed again. Look, most people don't drink because they love alcohol. They drink because they're trying to quiet something in their mind, and they just haven't found the words to say it. And here's what I hope you remember. You're not too old to change. You're not too far gone to rebuild. Retirement is not the end of your story. This is the moment you finally decide to write a new and better chapter for the rest of your life. And it can save your life and extend it by years. Look, retirement isn't supposed to be the time where life gets smaller. It's supposed to be where life becomes more intentional. If this is a real struggle for you or someone you love, SAMHSA's national helpline is free and confidential. Please call 1-800-662-4357. I'm Scott Finn for Real Retirement Reality. Now let's live life on our terms.